Welcome to the stream.
Hi, everybody in YouTube land. So this is my commentary or guide or whatever you want to call it for Rashid players and how to deal with Bison. I'll just say outright that I think there are some answers for sure for how Rashid can more effectively deal with Bison. I'm not sure the answers are always great for a variety of reasons I'm going to get into, but I have for a long time viewed Bison as like top 3 in this game for 99% of the player base who's not playing pro. I think him and Akuma were created intentionally as overpowered characters because they are historically boss characters and because people like them to be overpowered when they play them. And so you've almost got a sort of pay to win situation with some of these DLC. And obviously, it's one thing to say that when you're playing Rashid, who's also pretty powerful himself. So he's actually got some pretty good tools to address a lot of these issues. But some of the things that you're going to be dealing with Bison, particularly related to like Psycho Crusher and OD Psycho Crusher, these things are just there aren't always easy answers for them. So we're going to get into it, and we'll be looking at a lot of different things that Bison does and what are the best ways to deal with them. Okay, so looking at anti-airs first, you would think maybe the simple answer here is because Bison has the Devil's Reverse and the Head Stomp, and you can sort of see them coming a mile away. Well, wouldn't it just be really easy and straightforward to just do a simple anti-air? Something like this. The problem that comes up here, and this is actually a clip from a real match that I was in, is that it's often not as straightforward as the opponent just coming straight at you trying to do a Devil's Reverse or the Head Stomp. What they'll oftentimes do is, because they know that you can see it coming a mile away and you're just going to do an anti-air, is that they will fake you out and they'll end it early. What they're trying to do there is really clear. They're trying to get you to do the anti-air early because you need to start that sequence before they get to you so that they can bait it out. So then they would stop the Head Stomp and the Devil's Reverse, either one early, and then it would basically be a free punish for you. So it ends up looking something like this. And so in that situation, I jumped back, but if you were to do an actual anti-air there, not a standing one, but like the strong anti-air that each character has, if you have a DP, then what they're going to do is they're just going to get the free punish damage. The other issue that comes up is that, even if you're doing this effectively and consistently anti-airing Bison, the damage Rashid gives from the heavy mixer is so pathetically low. It's like maybe a few percent because you got to hit him with many, many hits in the sequence. And so each individual one is not really worth very much. So, it's not an effective anti-air. It just isn't in general. I don't recommend using it because it's not a deterrent. If the character can jump forward and only take a percent or 2 or 3% damage, then there's really no disincentive for him to just keep spamming jumping at you. And so that's a problem. It's an anti-air, but it's not a very good one for the reasons I've given in terms of baiting it out and because of the low damage. So what are some of the possible alternative anti-airs? One of those is you could, at least theoretically, jump forward with the medium punch and try and combo that into some other additional damage. Something like this. The jump forward, medium punch, the light sky high into the heavy kick together. Okay, so I don't recommend this. Why? You'll see here in a second. It's not always very likely, and in fact, it's oftentimes very unlikely that you're actually going to connect on all of those hits. So as you can see there, why even bother to do it if you're not going to be able to connect on all of the potential for the combo? It is really just very inconsistent, so as a result, it's not a very good anti-air. Another possibility is jump forward medium punch into the EX sky high. And that one, theoretically you can do it. I have done it in matches. It has worked. Looks something like that, obviously. The problem there is the same one as with the last sequence I was just talking about. See what I mean there? If you're going to miss on it, what's the point of doing it? It's not just that you're missing on damage for your anti-air, you're actually spending meter on that, so that's just really something that's not a good idea to be doing with this character. What about an anti-air as an air throw? This actually isn't bad, and I've done this a number of times in matches. I think the only qualifier I would add to this one is that if you're going to do the air throw as an anti-air, you probably need to be closer to M. Bison when you see him start up his frames for the devil's reverse or head stomp, because you can catch him before he converts into the head stomp or the devil's reverse or pushes any other button. So if you can be really fast with this, if you can throw it out there real fast, it actually does work pretty well, as you can see in the clip here. You can see me just sort of throwing them all over the place here. That's actually not bad as a strategy. So this is one of the ways that you can sort of deal with him in terms of anti-airs, if you're being really sort of on the spot with your anti-air air throw motions, and you're catching him really early and you're close to him. One thing I've heard some pro players say is that in order to avoid Bison trying to bait you out by doing like a strong DP motion that puts you at risk, is to just do a standing or crouching anti-air. The problem with that with Rashid is that means that you're going to have to be relying on his crouching medium punch. Anybody who's actually done this knows that that is doo-doo. He has, for lack of a better term, an ass standing crouching anti-air with a crouching medium punch. It just doesn't work properly, as you can see. Regularly, you're going to be taking hits there, and there's really no point to it if it looks like that. Now, sometimes it's going to come out, as you can see. But there's really no point in relying on an anti-air that's just not good, because you're going to routinely trade in a match between it actually landing and not. Because if you trade, then he lands in front of you and you're on the ground getting up, and really that's not an ideal position to be in when it comes to doing an anti-air. You want to be the one who's standing and ready to attack them and punish them after for the jump. So now we come to the anti-air that I really recommend the most out of everything we've been looking at, and that's simply just jumping back with heavy kick. There's nothing really sexy about it. It isn't going to get you a ton of damage, but it is going to be incredibly effective. Number one, because if you jump back with a heavy kick and they're in the air and they decide to sort of stop early, you're really not out anything if you just land as you jump back, because you've got plenty of time to react if they come at you with something else like a Psycho Crusher or any other kind of move that he has that he wants to come after you with. And if they are actually coming toward you, then you're going to hit them with this if you push it early enough, and it has a really incredible range in terms of hitting Bison. So this is really your best bet. I've done this in matches. You're going to see an example of it here. Now, someone could look at this and say, well, that's like turtling crap, you know. You're jumping away and hitting a button. And, well, my response to that is I don't give a shit. Like, this character, as far as I'm concerned, on Bison is extremely hard for Rashid and a lot of other characters. And I believe he does have these pay-to-win sort of qualities where they've really just made him overpowered with this air game, because if you don't jump soon enough to stop those, the Devil's Reverse or the Head Stomp, he is just going to wreak havoc on you in terms of what he can do after that. Just massive amounts of damage. So, yeah, no, there's no reason to ever feel bad about that. That kind of thing, if people see it as turtling, whatever. Like, this is really your most effective tool to shut him down, this part of his game, which is going to just destroy you when you play him in matches. So you can see there, the jump back, you know, he stopped it early. He was trying to bait me into the standing DP, and I wasn't out anything. I just jumped back, and then you can re-engage. So there's really no punishment there for jumping back and doing a kick. Well, what happens when the M. Bison is actually jumping at you? Again, I said as long as you push the button fast enough for the heavy kick, the range here is actually incredible in terms of how easily you can contact and make contact with Bison. I mean, look at that. That's just, absolutely incredible to have that kind of range. And here's what happens when you wait too long, right? If you don't do the proper anti-air, you're sort of Bison's plaything after that. He's going to jump up. He's going to do devil's reverse. Even if you block, he's got a meaty throw after that. So you're going to be in big trouble at this point. If you're trying to block and do like an EX mixer after, well, he can just block there if he knows you're going to EX mixer, and then he'll be able to punish you. You don't want to wait. You want to be very proactive in actually shutting down the devil's reverse and the head stomp, that jumping motion, right away as soon as possible. So the thing that's so challenging with the scissor kick, Bison scissor kick, especially if he's doing the fast scissor kick that hits so quick, the light scissor kick, which is the down forward kick motion, light kick, is that you get a meaty throw after that. So if you're Rashid and you get hit with the light scissor kick and you try to push a button after, it's just not going to end well for you. I've set the training dummy on first frame reaction after getting hit on damage to try and throw a light punch. You can see that there. If you get hit with the scissor kick, as you can see, it's just free additional damage for the meaty throw for Bison. So that's really not how you're going to want to deal with the scissor kick. It's just not going to be an effective way to do that by just pushing a button after. What about trying to jump away? What if after getting hit by the scissor kick, you try to jump back? The problem that comes up here with Bison is that if you try to jump back and he hits a quick button like a jab, you're just going to get hit out of that attempt to jump back, as you see. So you can try and jump back, but you're just going to get knocked. It does work if he tries to go for a throw, as you can see. Yeah, obviously you can jump out of a throw, but that's really just sort of a gamble situation where you're guessing between throw and strike. So that's not really the best thing to do as a defensive technique against scissor kick if you're just sort of guessing and hoping for the best. Personally, the option I like the best in terms of dealing with scissor kick is I want to avoid the scissor kick over and over and over upon getting hit into the throw loop. So, when they try to sort of loop you between those, to keep doing the scissor kick over and over and mixing it up with throws on hit, they can try and do this numerous times. And if it becomes clear that they're trying to spam you, probably the most effective thing that I do, and this works, and I don't usually try to do this until they've tried to loop these a couple times. Once they've done it the second time, to me, it's pretty clear that they're probably not going to stop until you demonstrate that you can stop them. And so the most effective way to sort of deal with that after is to do an EX mixer after it's clear that they're trying to loop that over and over. That's going to be your most effective way to actually just shut it down and break that loop. So I would really keep it that simple when we talk about getting hit by the scissor kick. If you want to break out of the cycles between scissor kick and throw, scissor kick again and throw over and over and over, the EX mixer will help you do that. Don't do it immediately because it's kind of dangerous. They can try and bait that out again the second time. If they see you do it the first time after a scissor kick and do a throw, they can do the second scissor kick and then they can just block and you get lit up because you did the EX DP and they're just going to punish you after that. So I don't like to do it willy-nilly. I like to wait until they've done that loop twice between the scissor kick and throw, and it's clear that they're going to keep doing it or they're likely to keep doing it. At that point, you're just trying to break the loop. And that's really the most effective way to deal with this really annoying move from Bison. When we get into discussing the Psycho Crusher and the OD Psycho Crusher, one of the big problems that comes up with this move is it's just so damn fast and annoying. Like, Bison players will spam it all of the time, and how do you deal with that? Well, as far as I'm concerned, I think the best way you can deal with it is just sort of, keep your eyes open, and I think this is a lot like with E-Honda, where you just need to go to the lab and get good at things like, perfect parry. So this is an Bison in a real match who knocked me down, and then he went to do Psycho Crusher after. And if you can consistently perfect parry, right? The damage is not incredible off a throw, it's around 10%, but it does turn the tide in the match in terms of knocking him down, giving you the advantage for what you want to do next, and just in general showing the other player that they can't just spam that move regularly. They're going to have to actually earn their wins rather than doing a brain-dead strategy. So the issue that comes up with using the level 2 is Rashid is that Bison can simply go through it with the ODEX Psycho Crusher, raising the question of why you're even bothering to have Super Meter in the first place and use it for that if it's just going to be instantly nullified. For a very long time, and I continue to believe this, that this was a huge part of the overtuned, overpowered nature of Bison. Why even have a move if it's just going to be nullified like that? So yeah, I just didn't use the level 2 for a really long time against Bison. I used the level 1 as a tack on for extra damage for combos, and I relied more heavily on the level 3. I think people like the idea of having a really super strong character like an M. Bison that can do what he wants on the screen and bully people. It's part of what I mentioned was, I think, the pay to win sort of nature of this character. People like not just playing a boss character, but knowing that that character is strong and knowing that they're going to be able to win because it's fun. But it does sort of create challenges for other actual characters like Rashid. And so I just thought this was a mismatch for a really long time. What I have since come to realize is I don't disagree with any of the things I just said, but there are ways that you can try to get around some of these significant problems with this mismatch. One is you can just wait for M. Bison to be on burnout. And so if you can't use the OD Psycho Crusher, you can just use your level 2 there as much as you want. But as you can see here, the problem is, like, for example, if you're just M. Bison and you throw, and Rashid pops the level 2, you just go through it with the OD Psycho Crusher, right? So, yeah, that's a problem. How do you actually get past that if you want to use the level 2? Because once he gets through it, it's pretty much gone. You don't really have access to that. You're in the corner on Wake Up, and M. Bison's going to bully you. So what we're going to do is we'll look at some scenarios here for how you can potentially use that level 2 and stop Bison from getting through it with the OD Psycho Crusher. Okay, so one scenario that seems to be pretty effective in terms of trying to manage the Psycho Crusher, the OD one, with Rashid is to do it after a throw. So if you do it after a throw and you do your best to walk forward as much as you can before the M. Bison tries to do the Psycho Crusher, there should be enough space there, as you can see here, for you to not just have pushed forward, but for him not to get through, right? Yeah, so you can see that's an effective way to sort of do this. And that's really the key, is that you want to keep as little space between you and the tornado as possible after you toss it out. So there are scenarios where, you just don't do it like willy-nilly. So now here are some actual examples from live matches where you can see that this actually is viable. This is between 15 to 1600 MR Bison, right? I did a cross-up kick and do a throw. Pop the level 2. As you can see, let's go back a little. Walk forward a little bit there, right? We'll see it again. So he gave me enough time where I was able to walk forward there. And that's really the wild card here. You really don't know exactly when someone's going to pop the Psycho Crusher. They could do it instantly on Wake Up where there's almost no frame delay, or they could sort of wait a little bit, think about it, and then do it. And you really have no way of actually knowing. That's why there's no real easy answer here for how to stop the Psycho Crusher. All you really know is that you want to have enough time to toss it out, which you do with the throw, and also be able to potentially walk forward a little bit, depending on how long it takes them to respond. And even if you don't, there should be enough space, or as little space as possible between you and the tornado after the throw, in terms of the distancing, where it's going to be very hard for the Bison to actually get through here. And you can see he gets hit, and then you can do a big damage combo. This is probably like around a 35-40% damage combo there. Here's another scenario where I did it again with a throw, and I had a little more time to walk forward there because, again, the Bison took a while to decide. Who knows how many frames that was? Probably like 30 frames or something. And the key again there is you want to be walking forward, right? Staying as close as you can to that tornado, and that way there's not going to be much room for him to push through. And so that's really going to be your best strategy here. Quick note: another potential way that you can use the level 2 effectively is if you do like a target combo into an EX Cyclone into a heavy Eagle Spike, which is a legit combo. And you can pop the level 2 after that as well. That should give you enough space if the Bison does the OD Psycho Crusher relatively quickly or instantly on wake up, or you can also hit him there too. So it would look something like this, just showing you in the lab. Target combo, EX Cyclone, Psycho Hard Spike into the level 2, and it catches him. You can light him up for more damage there. For the final section of this guide, I am going to talk about how to really beat Bison, not just how to deal with his crap, and he's got a lot of it, but how to actually beat him. It's been well recognized that Bison is extremely overtuned and powerful when it comes to his offense, but because he doesn't have an invincible EX Dragon Punch, it makes it hard for him to get out of the corner because all you can rely on is a level 1 or 2 or 3 to try and bust your way out. That's a pretty risky strategy, and there's even ways to deal with that if you're playing as Rashid. So we're going to take a look at some scenarios from real live matches that I was in against Bisons. And I think more than anything else, you're going to see the whole point here is just to keep the pressure on. Pressure, 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 and get him to the corner and don't let him out with all of different types of meaty setups that you have committed to muscle memory, because that's really going to be the key to beating him. So as you can see on this clip, I'm pushing him to the corner with a corner carry combo. I've got a throw into a drive impact, into an overhead, safe jump, more pressure. This is another clip where I'm pushing him to the corner. And off of throw, you can run forward, do crouching medium punch, and do another sequence. This one ends with a level 1. Actually, that's meaty after a level 1, the crouching medium punch too, into more pressure, as you can see there. What's really interesting about this sequence is not really the corner carry, however you get to that, but when you actually get to the corner. After the run kicks, you do the EX Cyclone into the run kicks. That's your major corner carry. You will set up a meaty with the charge shot, as you can see here. And what's so beautiful about that is that, Bison doesn't have an EX DP, so he ain't getting out of this through an EX move. And also, if he's going to use like a level 1 here, that actually loses to the charge shot. And so that's really what's so beautiful there, because he's going to pop that level 1, right? And now he's going to get hit, and this is max damage because he's getting hit by the charge shot, right? And then he's getting hit by the medium kick into the target combo, into the EX charge shot. Now this is really game over here because there's so much damage that comes along with the EX charge shot after target combo. And then you can do whatever you want after that. In this case, I have a drive rush into heavy kick, a forward medium punch after, into a rolling nail, into a level 1. And it's pretty close to game over here for Bison, right? All because he had the nerve to try a level 1 to get out of the corner, right? He's almost dead. And then just finish him off with a drive impact. That's a really beautiful sequence. So you can see why meaties matter so much here, particularly with the EX shot, if you can do it after a medium spike in the corner or after the run kicks, because then he can't even use the level 1 to get out. He's got no other alternative but to block there. Here's another sequence. You've got a drive impact, carry him to the corner, finish with a heavy mixer, cartwheel into a crouching medium punch, which is meaty, more pressure after that. A throw, you can sort of keep him busy, throw, strike, mix up. There was a throw there into a running, crouching medium punch, right? And doing a throw loop. Many throws because he didn't stop the throw loop. He's burnt out. What's he going to do here, right? So, yeah, you've got a lot of options here as long as you're mixing it up with all these different types of meaties, throw loops, the charge shot meaty. A lot of different options to choose from here. That's going to keep Bison guessing in the corner. It's hard for him to get out. Whatever for the last sequence here, we've got a drive impact into target combo, rolling nail, a throw, crouching medium punch run up, more pressure, throw. Again, more strike throw mix up, throw in a drive impact there into an overhead kick again. Canceling, actually, not canceling, but medium kick, light mixer, right? forward medium punch into the light cyclone, which shoots you forward here, right? The forward medium punch light cyclone shoots you forward to the safe jump. You can end the safe jump early there, right? Fake them out, and then just do a throw. That's part of the beauty of the corner guessing game with the safe jump. And so obviously you've got all types of strategies here to mess with M. Bison in the corner. And, that's another beautiful one. Actually, after a throw, if you just want to finish him off because he's got barely any life left, you can toss out the light whirlwind shot, and even the level 1's not going to get out of that, too. Whether it's the charge or just sort of the regular one after a throw, right? All viable strategies here for corner damage on Bison. So thanks everybody for watching. Hopefully this was helpful in terms of giving you hints and strategies and a guide for how to beat Bison. I think I would say more than anything else that this one took a while because coming up with these guides requires a lot of actual thought. So sorry it took a while. An actual real live match clips and sort of thinking all this through. If you liked the video, please give it a like. Leave a comment if you want to let me know what you thought. Otherwise, see you on the next one.